Hey guys, welcome back to Hype RC. Today we finally get to do our 18th scale challenge. I have been waiting for my Traxxas TRX4Ms to come in. I got my hands on one of each. We got a blue Bronco and the red Defender. We are going to run those up against the FMS 18th scale FJ Cruiser and the Fire Horse. The Traxxas TRX4Ms come in at $149.99, which is an unbelievable price. Super good price. You can actually catch the FJ Cruiser anywhere on sale from about $125 to $165, and I picked up this Fire Horse on sale for $99.99, and that is hard to beat for a hobby grade RC of this caliber. It is a super nice little Jeep. We are going to take these box stock and run them on some indoor challenges. The weather is not working out with this, at least for the next 10 days, 2 weeks, so we cannot wait that long to get these things out and play with them and have a good time. So we're going to take them and run them on some indoor stuff I got set up, and we're just going to see what you get for the money that you spend and just how cool these things are. We're not going to unbox them all, and there's videos on all of these individually, but I just want to take these vehicles out and run them against each other and just have fun and see exactly what the pros and cons are of each vehicle. Let's not waste any time. Let's get to it. All right, guys, let's start off with a side-by-side comparison on the bench of these two rigs. We're going to start off with the looks, and as far as the exterior goes, FMS is one of the best in the business. They do an amazing job on their scalers. I mean, with these you get headlights, turn signals, brake lights, you get the door handles. They always come with a full interior on them, which is super nice. You get an actual wheel and tire for your fifth wheel on the back, and they just do an excellent job of scale. Not that Traxxas didn't do a good job on these. Traxxas did a good job. Their handles, the two pieces on the bodies, you know, it's a hard body, windshield wipers, you know, they're there. They're not taking down the champ on this, but they did do a great job with it. Now, as far as wheel wells go, you definitely get those in the FMS models. You know, they have full wheel well. Traxxas did not do that. They didn't go with that. I think that's something they probably should have done, in my opinion, but, you know, I'm sure that Traxxas is going to listen to us and come out with something like that sooner than later. If we go on to performance, we'll start off with the electronics. So Traxxas, you get their standard TQI. You know, you get steering trim with it, and that is it. It is a extremely basic controller, little big, little hard to run, one-handed. As where this is another place that FMS excels. You get just an immense amount of adjustability on their tiny little controllers. You know, the FMS one here for the FJ, I really like it. It is super sharp. It's got all the controls. You can control your lights. You can control on the Fire Horse, you can control your drag brake and everything right from your controller. And I mean, that's just, they do a killer job with these little controllers that they give you in that package. I'm super impressed with FMS on that. But when we get to the other part of performance with these come with the 180 motor. Traxxas has put a 180 motor in here versus the little 050 motors that come on this. And this is a kind of a bigger, heavier rig for that, you know. And then when you get to the suspension over here, they're all four link front and rear on these, but Traxxas came with these oil-filled shocks, which are just plush and nice. You get these spring-loaded coilovers with FMS, and that's definitely something that could be upgraded. So Traxxas definitely did a great job with that. You get bushings in the TRX4M rigs, and you get bearings in the FMS rig. Now, there's pros and cons to both sides of that. If you're going to run these in the snow, in the water, those are never going to rust, as where a bearing can rust. But the obvious advantage of a bearing is less friction and just all around a smoother rig. But I'm not going to knock it against this. I think that they did what they did to get this priced at the exact right price, and if that's where they went with it, I'm sure that these will last for a very long time. They do have a bearing kit you can get. I'm not going to go for that yet. I want to run these for a while and just see how those perform. They all came with plastic 4 links on that, so that's something that can be upgraded. The wheels and tires, now what I will say is FMS, these are actual bead locks on here, so I can take these apart and put me a new, and these tires are pretty tough. They need to be replaced, but I've got a bead lock right there, as where with the Traxxas, these things here, I can spin these tires on these rims. I can literally spin the tire on the rim, and that is not going to be good for rock crawling performance. So that is something that's going to need to be addressed. But you notice that how easily I took that off. That right there is a double clip, and these bodies come off. You can access all the hardware on your rig. If you're going to change out and swap out, if you're a wrencher and you like to swap out motors and plan on upgrading, you know, I think Traxxas would be the way to go. These do come apart, and I have upgrades that are going to go in these, but there is a lot more involved to getting to the motor and transmission on these rigs than with Traxxas. Just literally 2 pops of 2 clips and you're in. I love the battery strap, as where you tuck the battery back in on here, and you know, it's just not, it's not going to hold it as well. It's not as nice. You know, I think Traxxas definitely did a great job as far as that. It's going to be easier to work on just all around. So that about sums up the bench differences that I really see between these rigs. We're going to take them out, and then we'll test like the modulation and the crawl, and just do some things and see just exactly how these perform on the little course that I've set up inside the house. All right, let's do it. All right, guys, let's go over how these performed on my mini indoor 18th scale challenge course that we did. They all performed pretty darn good, in my opinion. Box stock right out of there. Let's not waste any time. Let's get into what happened. So we did the uphill, downhill, and they all did well except for the FJ Cruiser, and we're going to talk about why it did that at the end. But they all performed well. I think the one that performed the best out of that category was the Traxxas Defender. It performed very well. It's got a lot of good grip. The tires on there are awesome. So on the uneven terrain, they all passed that. They all did well. I think the Bronco actually did the best in that category. So then we went to our uphill degree angle challenge, and the Bronco, it won that one too. It was able to get to 49 degrees and stop at the top without tipping over. Right behind that, believe it or not, was the Firehorse. It did fantastic. I was really impressed with this rig. Then behind that was the Defender, and then of course the FJ. Next we did the turning radius, and the Bronco won that one too. 31 inches for the Bronco, 32 3/4 for the Defender. We got 36.5 for the Firehorse, and then the FJ was just way out there, miles away, at 52.5 inches. Then we did a drag race with these rigs, and believe it or not, well, the Bronco won that one too. It came down to the Bronco and the Defender on that, and the Bronco beat it literally by the skin of its teeth, but it still won. Defender came in second on that. The FJ Cruiser was actually third in the drag race, and falling last in that category was the Firehorse. Now, the number one thing I like about each one of these rigs is the overall performance of the Bronco really makes it stand out as a first place winner in this challenge. It just performed well pretty much on everything. The number one thing I like about the Defender, the tires that come on there, these Canyon tires that they've got on this, I think perform extremely well for factory stock tires. We're going to have to get some new wheels and tires on all these, but we might actually just stick and keep those Canyons on there. Best thing about the Firehorse, it is the best bang for the buck. For $99.99, it's a hobby grade RC that outperformed the Defender in a few categories, and it's really good for a $100 hobbyist RC. That it's the best bang for the buck by far, for sure. The FJ Cruiser actually had the best modulation out of all of the vehicles, which surprised me with how well it didn't perform, but that's okay. It's still a good looking rig. It's still got its benefits. You know, the number one thing I didn't like about each of these rigs, the tires on the Bronco do not do it any favors, and yet it still performed amazing. Those are going to have to go. With the Defender, it is back heavy. You've got your accessories here on the back, which just add all that extra weight. It's a bigger body, it's a different shaped body, and it just has its back heavy. We'll have to get more weight up on the front of that. I'm going to upgrade this guy, so the Firehorse, but the number one dislike about this is it's going to be hard to upgrade that rig. It's just with the way that it's designed up with the scale body and the way everything's attached, it's going to take a little more effort to upgrade it. You know, but it's still a fantastic rig. And the FJ, the clearance, I said we were going to talk about what the problems with the FJ has terrible clearance, and these little step sides on the side of it here do not lend it any favors. Those things are getting clipped off. We're going to take care of that. But as far as everything goes, they're really good rigs. I would not spend the $150, $160 on this over either of these. I wouldn't. The $100 for this rig is amazing for $100, but it's not better than the Traxxas. The Traxxas won this competition hands down. And so the upgrades on these, I've got piles of these upgrades. We've got tons of upgrades already from Traxxas that we're going to put in these guys. They are awesome, and there's a lot of them right off the bat. Some of them are still being released. You got to wait on some of them. These things are so hot right now that they went out of stock immediately. So the upgrades, there's going to be a supply and demand thing. They're going to be a little difficult to get. Some of them, get them on hand. Upgrades for these guys, there is a lot. The problem is that they come from China. You're going to get them on AliExpress. And I hope you got your patience pants on, because it's going to take a while for them to get over here. There is a company, RC All-Wheel Drive, or AWD, that is actually starting to sell those parts on Amazon. They are higher priced than what you can get off AliExpress. So if you're willing just to wait and take your time, You can get those upgrades from them. And we're going to upgrade these. And so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to upgrade the Bronco to a crawler. We're going to do the Defender as a trail rig. We're going to do the Firehorse as a crawler. And then we're going to do the FJ as a crawler rig. And then we're going to compare these rigs in those two categories against each other. Hopefully the weather turns around. You know, I don't want to wait till spring to test these out more. But I had a great time doing it. Please support your local hobby shops, which is how I got these Traxxas rigs as soon as they released, because they did a release to support hobby shops. If you want parts and you want to be able to take a look and hold and talk to people and just learn more about the hobby, you have got to support your local hobby shops. NDRC is where I like to go, and they are great. They have indoor racetracks there. It's just it's a great place. If you're in the Indiana area, check it out for sure. And you got to support them and just have fun with your rigs. Get out there and enjoy yourself. Bash, crawl, repeat. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Hype RC. Hit the subscribe and like button and ring that bell so you can stay tuned into the next videos that I've got coming up. I've got some really good ones on a few of the other rigs lately, and it's going to be a good time. I hope to see you guys there. All right. Have a good day.